Guys, welcome to Step Up Unfiltered, the home of uncensored conversations with an extraordinary individual because I do not have a guest. However, we still will be tackling life's biggest issues and bridging division. So, my guest that I had arranged for today had to reschedule. So I thought, you know what? Someone gave me an idea of why not just do it by yourself. You see all these streamers doing this nowadays. You know, some of these streamers haven't got amazing, huge personalities, but what I do really rate them for is the hard work, the dedication, and understanding the numbers, understanding how to get the views. That is the hard, difficult part. I know a lot of them use laptops and whatnot. However, at this moment in time, you've got me and the topics on my phone, which I'll be going through. So hopefully, I am enough to keep you entertained. However, yes, it'll be a completely different type of episode today. This is the first episode I've ever done by myself. I've started an episode, I think I did one for 25 minutes, talking about a bit of fresh and fit drama before my colleague came. This was 2 years ago now. And that was hard enough as it is. However, do you know what? Life is all about going for it. So I am a living, breathing testament to that. So let's get going. The kind of topics that are going to be discussed today is very much just a lot of current events. It's going to be a fun episode. There's been a lot of current events I haven't got to. A lot of the episodes that I shot in Dubai were literally whilst I was off work for 2 weeks in December, although a lot of that was dominated by my parents being here. I still managed to get through quite a lot of episodes, which was great. So I haven't actually done what I usually do and discuss things that are going on currently. So that should be a benefit to all. But it'll be more fun, silly topics as opposed to anything too deep. However, I also will be going on to my weight loss journey. Not that I needed to lose a tremendous amount of weight, but I did want to trim down a little bit. So I'll be taking you through that journey. And also a fitness course type program I'm going to put together, which will mostly involve a lot of the mindset coaching that I provide. However, it will be tailored to getting you in your best shape. I know it's a huge industry in Dubai, and I think the best way of tackling it is really focus on the mind, because the mind is what changes the behavior in the long term, not just the short term. The short term can just be a buzz. It can be a quick thrill. That doesn't mean it's going to be something you stick to after the coaching program. Anyway, let's get into it today. So what I've noticed a lot with social media, which is crazy, is this rage baiting or fake clips to get views. And what actually is crazy to me is how people actually manage to get views of clearly fake clips. Like all these AI clips now, all you have to do is put a hot girl doing a basketball dunk or doing some Muay Thai, and next minute everybody's showing its love. It gets lots and lots of views, although it's quite clear that it's fake, or the people generally think it's real. I don't know. And especially if you put something promiscuous in there, oh my gosh, it's gonna have the guys going crazy, giving it away to themselves. I was just thinking, how is this even real? And even stage content. So I sometimes see clips of these pickup artists go up to girls, and it's so obviously fake. All the comments are saying that it's fake, it's staged, but it still gets a lot of views. I just don't get it. Or, the guy that's in his amazing car steps out, acts like he doesn't have money, then goes into his car and the girls come over. And it's so obviously fake, but all he has to do is get a woman there with a big butt and it still gets lots of views. I just don't understand it. Why does fake content get so much views? People that starve for views? Is it the wow factor of just seeing something crazy like a big fake butt? I don't know, but it's absolutely nuts to me. But if it's going to make people paid, it's going to get them views. So be it. It's not what I turn to, but each to their own. And even what I don't like though is I've seen women that do this, so like more OnlyFans kind of content where they act like the poor white boyfriend's getting cheated on because she just ran a train with about 8 black guys. And it shows, her looking all cute and sweet and the boyfriend, him then looking distraught, a split image to her being absolutely dominated by about 8 black geezers that have all just come out of prison, all in shape. Because what you're doing is you're just playing on a racial stereotype. And stuff like that winds me up. It's a very damaging stereotype as well, because it was something that was used in the slavery days. It coincides with great race theory. We have to be fearful of the black man, although Americans came and wiped out, dominated, and pillaged the original Native Americans, but so fearful of the black man. And it's a dangerous stereotype that I think people still do fear now. I've had white friends, one of my quarter race friends gets bothered if he knows a girl that's playing with a black guy, which is absolutely nuts to me. Stuff like that I don't like, just because it is a very damning stereotype of the dangerous, rough black guy that's just going to come in and implant by force white women, which is just not true. Don't like that kind of stuff. But as long as it's not harmful, but obviously people play on the dangerous stereotype because it gets some more views. Everybody open your eyes to this kind of stuff, and maybe we all should be saying that type of combat, that kind of content is a scumbag move. Okay. This is a big one. The Meg the Stallion, whatever the basketball is called. That drama has been huge news. Tristan. And it's so funny how men and women have reacted to it. All women have been, backing Meg. They don't even know the ins and outs, but, they think Meg is amazing. She's beautiful. She's this and she's that. And it's like, the guy is Tristan. He's a top Klay Thompson. Sorry, that's my bad. People are going to be getting on to me about that one. How did you forget his name? Klay Thompson is a 4-time NBA winner. He's the top of the top. He's 6 foot plus. He's a good looking guy, mixed race, which a lot of women love. He's a top 0.00000 balling as well guy, and women think that he's from the back. That is the most ridiculous thing in the world. Reason being is because men and women, we don't value the same things. The things that you think Meg Thee Stallion's amazing for, a lot of guys would never ever take her seriously for a long time. And that sounds crazy to you because you guys think about the male side of things. What you guys look for in a man, you obviously value Meg Thee Stallion. You guys are like, oh, but she's so strong, she's so confident, and she is an amazing businesswoman. To a lot of guys, it's like, okay, she's got some sex appeal, but a lot of guys don't find her naturally pretty. A lot of guys will say, oh, okay, yeah, she's got money, which is great, but it's not one of the things that we prioritize, but she also raps about her wet ass. A lot of guys like a feminine girl. Meg Thee Stallion is not a feminine girl. The Tory situation, everybody's split-minded about how, but we all knew she was lying about sleeping with Tory, which then completely got rid of all of her credibility when she's trying to get everybody to believe her about the Tory situation, then comes out years later to say that she was lying. And then just other situations that we've had with other guys, and it's always the guy's fault, and outing guys. We're sick and tired of guys being outed and you act like you do nothing wrong. So that's not a woman that we rate. Yeah, that's if my boy said with Meg Thee Stallion, I'd be like, bro, go on, enjoy it. But if he's gonna get into a long-term relationship, I'd be like, bro, that's not the one. It's not the one. Because it's not what men find attractive, generally speaking. I'm trying to say there's not some guys. I'm not even trying to say that he didn't find her attractive, but I think all guys know, and guys don't want to sit here and say it, but it was a I find her sexy. Let me enjoy myself, but I know it's not going to be for the long term. He'll never come out saying that because he needs to be PR trained. He needs to be politically correct. But we all know what it was. Did any sane guy know that? Was anyone taking it seriously? No, none of us were taking it seriously. I'm not even trying to say that he didn't like the girl, but it was very, very obvious that that wasn't what he was ideally looking for long term. As men, we like someone that's more family, especially when you've come from a good family yourself. You're gonna want someone that's more family orientated. It's not Meg Thee Stallion is not screaming Mother of the Year, is she? And that's what men in general value. And I don't. That's not a bad thing, but men have been. We're in this world now where even what a man typically likes can get frowned upon. I seen a clip of a girl the other day moaning that men like feminine women. So what? Just because you're masculine, how are you gonna try and down men for wanting a feminine woman, especially when you're gonna want a masculine man? Masculine yin and yang usually date your opposite, right? So masculine man's gonna want a feminine woman. Just because you're not masculine, like, if you want to be masculine, be masculine. There's nothing wrong with that. No one's trying to tell you that, but don't sit here and moan about how the rest of the world sees things or men in general. That really grinds my gears. I don't sit there and moan. I'm in Dubai at the moment. A lot of girls out here are prepared to be, the other girl for money. Thankfully, not the girls that I speak to, generally speaking, but obviously it's going to happen from time to time. But it's way worse for that in Dubai than London, as you can imagine, because of the kind of lifestyle out here. But I don't sit there moan and complain that there's girls that prioritize money. I say, yeah, come, that's what you're into. What I would say, and a lot of guys need to listen to this one, what I would say is a lot of that whole money talk, trust me, if a girl genuinely likes you and she's feeling you and she's sexually attracted to you and you make her laugh, all those other things, you can bypass the money argument. Trust me. A lot of my boys, especially when we were younger, broke uni shit, a lot of my boys do their thing very, very consistently, and having money, don't get me wrong, don't be a complete bum, but having millions in the bank or even hundreds of thousands in the bank is not necessary. A lot of girls say that because that might be what they ideally would want, but then they have to factor in lots of other things as well. And I always say, in terms of the UK, the amount of people that earn 100 grand, you're looking at 2%, 2% of those which are men. So then you're fighting between that. And then if you've got a very specific type, what's the likelihood of finding that guy? Then that guy's then got to like you. He's got to prioritize you, especially if you want a monogamous relationship. Yeah, there's a lot of complications to it. So that is another thing. But yeah, I just found it so interesting. I think the reason why men act how they do, and I hate the whole, this is what girls do as well. You go, oh, if a guy actually stands up for the guys, then it's sassy. No, sassy is like if a guy like acts high pitch and starts acting feminine and whatnot. If a guy's just going to stick up for himself, or he's going to stick up for men because we're so bored of men being trashed online, I don't even get into these kind of conversations. I prefer to have a debate with somebody face to face, to be honest. It's not sassy. You can't just flick little TikTok terms at things because you don't like it when a man actually has a voice. So this whole sassy era nonsense is just absolutely ridiculous. But the reason why guys got so offended, because it was just like, one, we never took the relationship seriously to begin with. Two, he's going to find a way more attractive for what men typically value female than her for the long term. So it's just not that deep. And then obviously three, she seems like she's got a checkered past in who she's dated. So it wasn't that deep. It really wasn't that deep. But on her side of things, I hope that she bounces back. The Tory situation to me is still mad, but fair play, successful black woman. Do I rate how she's gone about it? Not particularly, but I do rate the fact that she's got a bag and she'll be able to provide for her family for the rest of her life. So big up her in that respect. Bow Wow made a really interesting point. So it was a really beautiful, beautiful, beautiful woman. was going on a podcast and saying how a guy needs to earn something like 50K a month to date, or give her 50K a month to date her. And Bow Wow came out saying, "Yeah, well, I didn't have to do none of that. I choked for free." And guys, in a lot of, I've heard red pill spaces, masculinity spaces, black pill spaces, where they just think you have to be good looking. Well, this conviction nonsense, which I'm going to get to. I will be calling out the men, trust me. Harder. Pause. Pause, my boy. And it's true. It's true. I've seen it countless times. You got to remember, I've worked abroad. I've worked in IB for 4 years. I worked in Miami. I worked in Thailand. I've gone to uni. My friends tend to be decent looking boys, all with charisma, all nice guys as well. Don't get it twisted. All with a little game. So I've seen it time and time and time and time and time and time and time again. There's some girls that some guys think, oh, I could never go there. I could never do this. I could never do this. I know guys that have been able to see that girl in a hotel room without putting in any work, no dates, blah, blah, blah. A lot of it obviously comes down to, and this is not to out a woman, like, do you in it? Like, I don't judge a woman for doing her thing, but it all comes down to the period of time that she's in. She might want a hot girl summer, she might want a hot girl winter. The guy might be her exact type. Girls often have some guys, they appreciate that take things slower, then they appreciate a guy that's, on job, if that's what they're looking for at that moment in time. So Bauer's 100% right, Bauer, attractive guy, money, amazing artist. You gonna think I mean tonight? Bauer sick. I've got a lot of Bauer tunes. Even Use Me, the flipping Sierra tune. Let me hold you. Anyway, so yeah. Oh, well, of course. And you got to remember as well, a lot of the time as well, guys think, oh, that guy's got so much money, he can just pay for it. A lot of the time, girls want the clout from the rich guy, or they want to be in the same room. Status is a big thing. So don't always think, yes, some of these guys are paying for hookers, brasses, all sorts. They're paying a girl's lifestyle to be able to shop. But some of these guys are literally just, the girl's just happy to be in the room and be with the celebrity. So a lot of them aren't having to put in any work. So don't listen to these nonsense clips online. The girl's like, oh, you have to earn this much to do this much. And if that is the case, don't get in your feelings. So be it. Let her do her thing. There's plenty more fish in the sea. And trust me, it never tends to be she's an extremely pretty woman. But it doesn't always tend to be the prettiest girls. In my experience, when I've seen these kind of clips and stuff, it tends to be the girls with all the fake surgery, which tend to be insecure, putting on a front a lot of the time. And yeah, sex appeal is amazing and, gives it all this and that. But it never tends to be the prettiest girls. A lot of pretty girls. Some of them are down to earth. The David Hay comment. We will be talking about David Hay as well because I've had an encounter with him, but it was a good encounter. So yeah, that is that. Right, masculinity. What actually makes a man? So I've already talked about how the sassy stuff is nonsense. Call a man out for being sassy. What I would say being sassy is if you're having, let's say, an argument with a girl, let's say like you're having to like scream over the top of her, you get super highly emotional and just a normal back and forth, or you have to, walk out the room and give yourself a whole period of time to calm down because you can't control your emotions. That to me is actually sassy, or you just get really, really bitey with a girl. That is sassy. Sassy is not having balls and standing up for yourself and backing yourself and not being spoken to in a disrespectful manner. That to me is being a man. Being a man is protecting your family, protecting your loved ones, protecting your girlfriend. It's looking after your family, your actual kids, your actual wife, if she is your wife at that current moment in time as well. Looking out for the people that you love. Being able to inspire others, young people. being a man to me is doing what needs to get done, being able to be good in a high pressure situation as well. That's what being a man is. And people can, take this and put it into certain segments like changing a tire and stuff like that. But the thing is, you're not going to be able to do every single thing in the world. But don't get me wrong, you should give it a go. But you're not going to be able to be elite at every single thing. To some women, being a man could be being able to, run a farm. That's obviously just being silly. But to some women, that's what being a real man is, especially up in Texas. So being a man, I just think it's just focus on the core things. For me, being a man is also standing on job, standing on your opinion. Men are supposed to be disagreeable. We're supposed to be able to negotiate a pay rise. For me, I have to give my opinion. I'm not trying to say that should be to the detriment of somebody else. Yeah, I do think it's great if you can be very nonchalant and not get into a silly argument. I'll try to be quite good at that as I get older, as I've got older. But I definitely don't ever really try to argue with girls. It's not a debate, happy with that, but an argument, I just have to allow it, to be honest. Especially because I know it gets personal and bitey. I'm not about that. But it is standing on your opinion. Like for me, I know I've had friendship groups which there's something that I really disagree with, and it gets a bit, it could turn the lines of racism, whatever that is. And I give my opinion. I am me at all times. I think that is being a man. And people even bantered me for that. Like, oh, look at him, he's going to that side or whatever. But that is manly to me, because there's other people that won't give their opinion and they'll be silent to appease the group, or they don't want to cause any tension, or they don't want to do this or they don't want to do that. But being a man is saying it how it is. So that's what I personally believe. And that brings me on to good old David Hay. So the fact that y'all tried to cancel David Hay really pissed me off, because TV and big personalities is not just made for the softer type of man, which is trying to be pushed in the media, like an Adam. David Hay's an absolute legend. He was someone that I looked up to growing older. People think that probably highly on the left. Oh my gosh, I'm out shaving this, blah, blah. No, a lot of people that I know love David Hay as much as me. What I liked about him, he always kept, kept care of his appearance, vibey guy, confident. Yeah, it was a bit cocky, but he had the skills to back it up, stayed in shape, and those are all things that I think are very good things. So I actually met David Hay in Ibiza. I was promoting. I was in my first year. Me and my boy's actually funny enough getting married now, but what sometimes we had Malia twice, Ibiza, living the life, going to all the best parties in the world, you could argue. Thai Tempest pool party, unbelievable. And one of our boys was his tour manager, so he always used to get us backstage. And we were broke in Ibiza. We done Malia, and our outgoings were just not that much. We didn't earn loads, but we never touched our card. And Ibiza, it was just the funnest times. We were getting all-inclusive wristbands, eating and drinking for free for 2 weeks, and going to the next hotel. Just an absolute hilarious season, and we actually started to earn some money towards the end. No narcotics as well. Big up us to Black Ibiza workers. How you mean? But yeah, I met David Hay, and I had to speak to him because I was like, this guy is a goat for me. And I bannered him about getting with Jennifer Lopez. I watched a video of him one time, and I found his pre-fight clips the funniest. And he was calling me a cheeky bastard. And he brought me around the table. He got me a glass of champagne. We chopped it up, had a laugh, took a picture in which I looked extremely burst, and then went on about my day. And he's an absolute legend. When they say you shouldn't meet your idols, not that he's my idol, but he is somebody that I looked up to in some respects. And the interaction couldn't have been greater. David Hay has always said it how it is. He stands up to himself. He doesn't hate women or anything like that. It's not chauvinistic. What he said, his delivery could have been better. I know we're in a world of your delivery needs to be this way. But then at the end of the day, a truly masculine man He's just going to say it how he wants to say it. Yes, I understand that masculinity is being changed. And even me, like as a male coach, I try to, change things. I know I can be quite harsh and direct to my delivery. So I try to soften up a little bit, not too much. Could he have said the ugly girl comment better? Yeah, he could have. But what he's saying is true. And I respect someone that speaks the truth way more than fake people. I hate people that act fake. I see some like liberal people like Destiny is talking up for black issues, and then you're seeing on another clip saying the N word repeatedly and digging at black people. I hate fake people on whatever side, conservative or liberal, but I hate people that virtue signal how great of a person they are, where you can just tell it's all a bunch of BS. So I prefer someone that says it how it is, and he said it how it is. He's right. I've worked in Miami, and some of the people that are outraged have probably been in those situations, and they've probably left their friend that's not as attractive in the queue, or they've seen it happen. Then, how disgusting! How you said that? It's the reality of life. It probably happens in any fast-paced city, let's say. I haven't seen it happen in Dubai, to be fair, but any fast-paced city is going to happen. But in Miami, you can get girls free entry, free drinks, free bottle service all night for just being a girl. But one caveat of that is you have to be a fairly attractive girl, and they will be that savage. If it's a busy night, and even one of the girls in the group is not attractive, the proprietors will say nah. And is that wrong? It's not nice, I would say. But if you are having the privilege of getting into the club and getting everything free because of your looks, there has to be a little toss-up of the coin. And at the end of the day, if that is your true friend, why the hell are you going to that club and leaving your friend? That is EFC friend. I would not do that at all. Well, you have to understand and be real with yourselves. Like, if there's a girl that you don't think is going to get into the club and you guys want to hit that night, maybe say that for a different night and just explain that this club's a little bit funny. You got to have some of those direct conversations. But I know girls like to be nicey. They don't like to have those kind of conversations. So, yes, I prefer someone that says it how it is. The ugly girl comment is 100% right. I've seen it happen. Girls leave their friends sometimes they will go with their friend. However, it's very much looks based. That's just how it is. He was saying that attractive girls usually have an awful personality. I actually would say that's not entirely true. I'd say girls that are about that life tend to. It's not even the fact that they have a bad personality. I wouldn't say that, but yeah, I wouldn't say they're wifey. They're as much wifey material, whereas less attractive girl, especially that rates you, is going to try harder for you, whether that's in the bedroom. She's going to make effort. She might even stick it on you, and they probably will be nicer. That is true, but that could just be because they really, really fancy you, and they know, even if it's subconsciously, they're going to have to put in more work to get you. It doesn't mean they're a nicer person as such. Whereas I think that, yeah, someone that's trying to be in that kind of like TV type of life, female, this is going to be more, money focused. It's going to be a little bit more, what's the word I'm trying to think of? It's going to be a little bit more, not realistic, but less down to earth. That's what I would say. So I agree with him to some extent, but there are still plenty of natural beauties that are down to earth guys. So I would say like more like the girl that's trying to be out all the time, fake this, fake that. Might even be an attractive girl, but that type of girl is going to have less about them. Someone that's not prepared to put in the work as much at gym. Some of them do go to the gym, don't get me wrong. But someone like that, yeah, is going to have less about them, generally speaking. So he's got a fair point, and I think a lot of people said that, but they just don't like his delivery. But he's a flipping world heavyweight champion. So stop trying to flipping cuss a man out who's been the world heavyweight champion about his flipping delivery. It's so jarring. Like, I don't know, do men do this? Because if men do this, it's sassy as well. Moan about a girl's delivery. Like, Gemma Collins used to say a load of annoying stuff on Towie when I watched her on Towie. But I didn't care about that. I thought it was not nice when it seemed like she was bullying other characters or other women. But I'm not going to sit there on social media and make all these comments. That's just sad. I've never done that. I've never been in people's comment section and being personal to people. I just think it's absolutely crazy. But anyway, going back to David Hay thing, the fact that you guys are trying to cancel him is ridiculous. I didn't watch a full series with Adam. I've seen some clips. I've seen a few of the episodes at the beginning, and for me, it's banter. I'm sorry, it is banter. Did David go a little bit too far, arguably, when he could say he was getting upset? But Adam was giving it as good as he got, especially at the start. But people have recency bias when people see David Hayes, the black guy who's been a heavyweight champion with the muscles, going at the softer people. And I do feel like in this generation, if you are the soft guy that doesn't say anything and just acts out women are right in every situation, then you do get rewarded, which I just don't rate at all. I just think I'm not even pro men, I'm just pro people. I accept in this world that you get men that are assholes, you get women that are assholes. Men aren't bigger assholes than women. Women aren't bigger assholes than men. And that is just life. I'm not up for this whole society where, women feel like they're being wronged from men, which is true. And now it's as if, we have to be, hyper feminists. That's ridiculous, because that's like me saying I should be hyper blackist, and not like white people because of the way that black people continue to be treated, but how black people were treated not even under 100 years ago. My dad talks about some of the stories back in his day, and that was 40 years ago. It wasn't comfortable to be out on the streets as it is now. So, and that's not saying that he doesn't have white friends, blah, blah, blah. My dad's not jaded in that way, which is great. But yeah, I just think it's the same exact thing. Obviously, race and gender are different, but it's still a struggle. It's still people that were oppressed. So this kind of like hyper feminist movement, I don't rate it. And to be fair, I give it to them, because when I've gone on these podcasts, I call out the behavior, and it just happens to be girls that are on my podcast, and people tell us because of the girls you get on your podcast. Not at all. We have debates. I go on other people's podcasts, whether they do OnlyFans, whatever the case is, and girls tend to agree with what I say. And I don't know, that's because of the delivery. I'm very calm. I don't have these big arguments or anything like that. And I agree with what they say. They seem to be all very mellow, Maybe it's because there's not alcohol involved, because when I've had these debates at a pub or whatever, sometimes people get into their emotion bag. But I think that is probably because of the toxins that are involved. Anyway, yes. Another talking point as well that I see a lot online is when women say, it's masculine to pick us up, take us to the date, pay for the date, drop us back. That should just be a standard. And women think that makes them have like a higher standard than a woman that doesn't. That jokes. What pisses me off is when you actually, like, if that's what you believe is right for you, have your standard. I'm waiting to call it standard. Have your way of thinking. Cool. That doesn't have to align with what I want, and I just want to date someone that I just like that, to be honest. However, it's when you generally think you have a higher standard than another woman that doesn't move like you. It's absolutely ridiculous. What? Because your standard can be bought? Well, that doesn't mean that you have a higher standard than a girl that doesn't. Maybe that girl is just way more down to earth. Maybe she's had a family where she's seen her mum and dad interact very, very, very well, and hasn't just had pure princess treatment. So she understands. Maybe she's got brothers and sisters as well. She's more comfortable with just a normal man and woman dynamic. Then the guy has to prove his worth by finances. That's ridiculous. On a first date, for example, a girl should just want to know more about the guy, see if there's that attraction there, see if the conversation's good, and if anything, feel safe. We hear this from women that they feel unsafe around men, the man and the bear. I've already gone about that, so I won't go on about that. How it should be about safe. It shouldn't be about how much the guy is spending on you. Women are men in their 20s, so you got enough money, most women, to get yourself on a date and back. Although I did see a confession, I did hear about a confession on a podcast where women said they went to Ibiza and expected men to pay for everything, and they spent all the money going to Ibiza and ran out of money on day one. what is going on? The thing about me, and where, no one's ever called me misogynistic, which I'm glad about. I mean, I've had a couple of comments because they don't like the fact that I talk about, the way that men view the world, women view the world, blah, blah, blah. But it's actually not being misogynistic, because for me, I'm treating a woman as a woman. I believe that, you do have the money to get yourself at least to the date and back. I'm not treating you like a baby. I don't like when, and this men do this as well. I don't like when you try to take the benefits of the past when the past didn't benefit you, because that's when there was misogyny. That's when the patriarchy was in full force. But don't take any of the negatives and then try to take positives of being a modern woman. Do whatever you want, blah blah blah. Wear what you want, say whatever you want, blah blah blah. But then not have any of the negatives of the 50-50. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just about finding like a happy balance and being fair with your partner. So yes, that's what I would say about that. Yeah, being a man, that doesn't make you masculine at all. Buying a girl designer bag. So think about how quick relationships are. So doing all this, doing the utmost for a woman financially, what for it to end, more than likely. Buying a woman's affection doesn't mean that she's going to stay with you in the long term. And I'm not trying to say that, like, some girls do want that princess treatment, and they will be prepared to maybe dip down the standards looks wise to find a man that's going to do that. Because you've got to think about it. You've got to think about it. The more attractive a man is, the more women want him. Also, women typically don't want to, women out earn their own money, so they don't need a guy for money anymore. So they want to date their level of financial status and higher. Women tend to want to aim higher, which means, as you can tell by the statistics, women aren't prepared to settle as much anymore. Hence why we see a lot of men say women are going for the same type of guy. It's very, very true. And a lot of guys are just very unseen to women. So if you're, let's say there's this attractive guy that's got lots of options, if you're trying all that princess treatment, he's just going to find a girl that's as attractive as you, maybe even more attractive, that isn't as conceited. So that's what I would say about that. And it's so funny because it's those same typical girls that are the ones that have been single for ages. They're rage baiting men and their stories and whatnot, and outing people or just constantly cussing out men. It's so boring. So maybe just turn the mirror on you. Maybe just keep your opinions to yourself. Don't get me wrong, if you're going to talk about a platform, it makes a lot of sense, but constantly bashing men in your stories, it's very weird behavior. Also, all this outing behavior, men could do it as well, and men probably do it. I just always see it when women come to it. Why would you out someone? It's so grim. It's emotional, just wickedness, because you never ever take accountability. You never say where you went wrong. It's just disgusting. I've just seen a clip today of Abba from Abba and Preach. A woman cussing out Abba about how he's been in the situation, reading texts and trying to create a YouTube channel, literally because she's dated somebody famous. I've dated someone famous before. Do you think I would ever put two and two together and go, oh yeah, I'm gonna make episodes to monetize and try and boost my YouTube channel because I've dated someone famous? That's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I would never ever dream of doing that. If things don't work out, things don't work out. If you feel a bit of a way about someone, you feel a bit of a way about someone. That doesn't erase all the good times and things like that. You move on. You don't bash them publicly because you're either trying to come up on someone's platform or you're trying to take their clout. The world that we're in today is just crazy. I just don't understand how people just don't call that behavior out. It's nuts to me. It is nuts. Let's move on to young Brits not wanting to fight for their country. Now, just to actually make a sideways point, the amount of people I have seen, when the missiles were coming down in Dubai, that, were making sick jokes about Brits that have moved to Dubai and trying to coin us all into the same Essexy type person that have got veneers, fake tan, on the run, looking to evade tax. saying, oh, look at them now having to beg back. They need to pay our taxes. They need to pay for the fact that the country's messed up, blah, blah, blah. It's sick and sad. Like, I've never ever seen someone abroad and was all getting bitter and getting into a comment section, which I never do anyway, but bitter about somebody else's life and saying they're the problem because they've moved to Dubai to better their life for all the problems that's going on in the UK. These are the same people who then moan about what's going on in the UK, whatever side of the fence they're on, whether they're, against the immigrants and, they're pro Tommy Robinson or whether they're on the other side and they are, I guess, on the more liberal side, and they're trying to say that it's all these far right thugs. They're always moaning about the UK. They're always moaning about the NHS, but then they have the sheet to moan about Brits that moving to Dubai. Crazy. But why do young Brits not want to fight for the UK? Well, what is there to bond us together? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm proud to be British. I'm not one of those blacks that is not. But what is there about being British? I think if you're Black British, it's hard to bond over the history when you know the history, and you might not feel like you're a part of the history. What can we bond over though? We can bond over the football. I would have said we could bond over Christianity, but the UK is not a Christian country anymore. Yes, it's predominantly, however, there's now more atheists. And Christianity has gone down under 50% now. Obviously, Islam is on the rise as well. Hence why your far rights are getting very, very worried. And hence why parties somehow, such as Reform, are actually starting to get some smoke. But Brits don't want to fight for Britain because they don't understand what the identity of Britain is. I think that's a big problem. There's no religion to bond us together anymore. And even a lot of Christians aren't really religious, are they? Do they actually follow the book? No. A lot of people try to twist religion to suit their worldview, which I just don't really see the point in being religious if that is the case. But yeah, you've got that. You've got the fact that men aren't masculine anymore. Men have dropped a percentage of testosterone all the way from 1985, 1%. Men are less productive. A lot of kids nowadays want to be behind a computer screen and want to be a YouTuber, as opposed to getting out there and getting involved in sports and going out there to date. And I don't blame them, because you do see all this fear mongering, things that have come from the Me Too about how men should behave, and all these Gen Zers, 25% of them saying it's creepy if a man makes the first move. There's a lot of things out there that just make men think, well, I'm not going to get into, young boys think, I'm not going to get in a relationship. I don't want to be looked at this and that. And it just increases that anxiety, which is hard enough going up to a girl when you're young anyway. But on top of that, and that's what's obviously being fed into the education system as well, pushed by a liberal education system. So you can see why. So I can understand why more people, young Brits don't want to fight for Britain. And then you've got the social justice wars, as I've said, between, the Tommy Robinson's side of things, which is so funny because people actually collate different issues and try to put it into one to make their argument stronger, which is in fact weaker. So it's funny because I know people that were, complain about all the immigrants. It's like, well, your problem should be with the government, not really the immigrants and trying to burn down the houses. But it's just because the immigrants are easier, which I hate. It's like racist. They go for the easier. They do it all in group numbers. They attack one person as opposed to actually go for a group of people, which I think is complete bitch pussy behavior, which I flipping hate. They don't actually go for the government. They didn't do a revolt or anything like that. They attacked the poor immigrants. However, they collate that then with then saying, oh, well, people that are supporting Palestine are this and that. It's like they're two complete different issues. Two complete different issues. One is a country that has been misplaced, if you know anything about anything. And one is immigrants coming into Britain. And, I made videos about this years ago and said that immigration was a problem. You can't have 1 million people come into a country of 65 million with soft checks. That is a problem. And, even I'll admit, because I actually am balanced in my view. Tommy Robinson has done a good job of, uncovering some of the R gangs that are out there. That obviously clearly is an issue. Immigration, at the extent that it is in the UK, is an issue. However, there is balance. But every single Muslim is doing those kind of things. Not all these people that have been involved in these attacks have come on boats. The narrative you try to push is just so uneducated, lack of research, and it's just boring. It's boring. Come to us with an actual balanced argument, not just a load of hyper sensationalized nonsense. And then on the other side as well, on the more liberal side of things, just because you go to a Tommy Robinson march, it doesn't mean that you're racist. Don't get me wrong, Nico's documentary was great because it uncovered a lot of people at that march that were saying that weren't truly were when they got around their buddies are coming out of all N words and P words and all sorts, which I'm not surprised at all. When they've had a few drinks, get a little bit rolled up. But not everybody there would have been racist or sexist or misogynist or homophobic. A lot of them would have just been fed up by the immigration problem, which is fair, So yeah, the country is obviously massively divided. There's so many train strikes as well at the moment. Train strikes and train prices hiking. NHS, I know my granddad could have died in a hospital and managed to get a couple of years extra because God bless my auntie looked after him and gave up her parts of her life to be a carer for my grandparents, which you just don't see people like that. You don't see a strong black woman. I don't mean it like that. I mean it in the sense of you just don't see people like that. So big up her for being a strong black woman and doing that. It was like 3 nurses to 100 patients. And I remember seeing a poor older guy swallowing on tablets, and I wanted to get involved. I technically couldn't with knives and having a bit of a shout at the nurse, but then the nurse is fed up because she's got so many other things going on. And it's just a bit of a mess. Clavicular, time to dig out the men in the masculinity space. So, clavicular. Really don't know how this guy's got famous, but he managed to find the algorithm game. I think he made sure he really dialed in, which is quite smart, on the niche of looks maxim. He's young as well, so he can kind of get away with not being super ridiculous. And he's a fairly bright kid, so he knows a little bit of history behind beyond what the Egyptians found as good looking. And there's a phrase for it which escapes my head because it's not entirely true. But about natural beauty and whatnot. But then he's just taken it way too far. I understand what he's talking about in terms of symmetrical face. Like for me, is having a load of filler in your face, does that make you naturally prettier than somebody that doesn't? No, it doesn't make it you more pretty than another gal. Well, it depends on what you look like. But no, I always would prefer natural beauty. I think most men would. Does that mean there's anything wrong with a little bit of filler in there? No. Does it even mean that if you're super fake, you won't be sexy? Not at all. You could still be a sexy girl, but I mean in terms of natural beautiness, you will wake up to and be like, oh my gosh, that's babes. You prefer a natural beauty, realistically. How about this guy has gone from talking about what's actually pretty to then going on podcasts and rating women being extremely harsh, which isn't nice. But then to being a streamer, being dull, not having a big personality, talking about having to take drugs to have a big personality, and then going to clubs, hitting on girls with not that much game, decent looks, and obviously a lot of status. And people finding that cool. The kid's got, what did he shoot crocodiles? He ran over another streamer. So he's got a load of legal issues, and now you've got a young girl that's trying to out him for injecting her, although she agreed to being injected online, which is nuts. saying under the guise of him being a doctor, which is clearly just a lie, but then saying that he heard, heard, but then seen since after, which is dubious in itself. But he's got a load of legal problems now, but just how is that cool? Looking up to someone that needs to take drugs to just stream and have a personality. Trust me. And doing seasons, and I'll watch that beef, you know what I'm saying? But people didn't need to get on it to have a personality. They might do that to enjoy a rave a little bit more, but you shouldn't need to do that. Trust me. If I was a streamer and my beef for days, boy, I would have made bucks. But yeah, honestly, craziness. It's ridiculous, but like you have to blame some of the young boys. Like, why are you watching someone like this? There's so many better examples. And even the fact that he's having to take meth to looks max is crazy. Guys, being completely honest, trust me, when I got more attractive as a youngster, what I stopped doing was using spot creams and stuff like that, just used fresh water. I've always been into training anyway. When I was younger, I was doing press ups and stuff, but I got really into the gym at 16, 18, took it up a notch. I've always been sporty and things like that. When you work out, you look better, you feel better, you're going to get more attention anyway. You have more energy and you have something that keeps you grounded as well, which is great. So work out. You don't have to do drugs. Don't do any drugs. I'm a 100% natty. I've been bigger. I've been smaller, which I'll talk about as well. I've been more lean. I've been big. I've been super strong for my, age and size. All you have to do is eat good, be consistent, and train, and try and get enough sleep. And you're good. You'll be able to change your body composition. So doing all the things that he's talking about, he's so young as well. Why you don't need to do all the stuff that he's doing, and also he's crashing out. He's, passing out on stream. He's doing stupid things as well. But the fact that he's taking drugs, that's the thing that really stands out to me. And then he's still being allowed on streaming services like Kick. It's crazy to me. Or he's like banned on YouTube, but then got another YouTube. How is that even possible? It's crazy. But I think he's banned on YouTube now anyway. But Kick, well, that's nuts. How I understand like wanting to be a no nonsense platform and talk about things at free speech, but actually doing drugs on the streams just nuts to me. And obviously he's then influencing the youth as well. Absolutely ridiculous behavior. The way that you get good at all of that stuff is if you want to become good at girls, good with girls, try and get over the fear and the anxiety when you're younger. Get yourself in social situations, play sports, get yourself with a good group of boys. You're going to meet girls, you're going to get invited to parties, balls up and ask a girl out and find out, interact with different girls, understand what makes them tick. So you get over a lot of those initial anxieties. So then when you're older, it kind of just rolls off the tongue. Whereas when you try to do it at an older age, you build up the anxiety over a longer period of time. So that is what my advice would be. Get yourself in shape. Obviously, your looks you're naturally born with. Don't inject yourself. Don't be an idiot. Don't hit yourself with a metal thing to get better job. Just simply by becoming lean, you're going to get a lot of those benefits anyway. Look after yourself and then focus on your career. Focus on having a good career. You're going to need money. You're going to need money just for you, though. For you. And gain a good set of morals, whether that comes from religion, hopefully it comes from a great family household. That would be even better. But gain a good set of morals. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. But this looks maxing nonsense in the bunch of BS. I looks max by just doing the basics. Do the basics well and you can't go wrong. Focus on your career. Or focus on the skill that's going to make you money. Get yourself in shape. Whatever way you want to do it. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to be a gym head like me. You can be a runner, be a rower, be a dancer, whatever it may be. Find what makes you tick or what you don't mind as much. Maybe just be a walker and get it done. And then in terms of confidence, try and get over those anxieties when you're younger. However, just interact with people, interact with girls. Actually, balls up. I've even coached someone before and just said, try and have more interactions, even with guys. Just interact with people more and more and more and more, and then it would be easier to talk to girls. No homo, no diddy, none of that. But just some people are just shook off generally speaking with people. So that's what I would say on that. I also saw a clip of a girl saying, broke men deserves no pumpers. Crazy, crazy. I know a lot of broke men, or men that have been broke, because what is broke? I know girls that say, if you don't earn 100 grand a year, you're broke. You don't earn 500 grand a year, you're broke. So what is broke? What is the metric of broke? Broke for me is a bum. No job, just mints around of his parents, and doesn't have money to do anything. Can't go out. Can just afford, the basics of food. That's a broke to me. Broke is not someone that's not earning, they're not in the top 2% of the UK. But broke men deserve open. As I said, trust me, when a girl is feeling you, a lot of that broke nonsense goes out the window. A lot of girls as well that have that mindset have actually then paid for a guy's lifestyle before. Probably someone that was super sexually attracted to or feeling at the time, that either, rizzed them up in the right way, but then they've got that opinion because they paid for a man's lifestyle before. So that's something to factor in. Don't just listen to everything you hear. Have experiences, and then you'll see some of this stuff for what it is. Yeah, I've already spoken about men being called sassy, for having boundaries, for saying how it is, for speaking their truth. That just is absolutely absurd. That's actually manly to say how it is, not just keep everything hidden. And don't get me wrong, don't get into a bicker, a back and forth. Don't be spiteful. Try and just take the bigger approach. Try and be the better man, as they say. But also, there's nothing wrong with sticking up for yourself. Don't just be a doormat, because women won't respect that either, especially over time. Prenups. Is prenups a lack of trust? No, that's the biggest lie since the beginning of time. Prenup as well is not saying that, let's say you're the richer person in a relationship, I'm just going to take everything from you. No, all it is you agree on what you're going to split beforehand. And the person that doesn't earn as much money is still going to get some of the other person's bits and assets anyway, some extra. It's just protecting yourself. The fact that people have tried to spin that and saying you don't trust me and this and that, or make their partner feel bad for wanting a prenup, is ridiculous. However, I know people that are getting into marriages that aren't doing the prenup thing, and big up them, fair play. But I think if I was the person that had more money in a relationship, I think it's something that I would want. But then again, I feel like I've been a quite good judge of character and who I've dated and taken seriously. The two girls that I would say long term. So yeah, I get it. When it's been a long time and feelings are involved, and they might have dated you when you haven't had much money in a relationship that I'm thinking about now, I do get it. I do get it. But yeah, what I think is going to be interesting now, I remember watching that episode of Love Is Blind. Obviously now women are starting to out earn men, so now it's going to be women that are going to start wanting the prenup with men, and you're going to see that a lot of these women are going to be savage when it comes to asking for those prenups. And I remember a girl wanting the guy to say a prenup, he didn't agree with it, he then agreed to it, she still said no to marrying him. Boom. Women are hypergamous, they want to date someone on the same financial level or higher. But that isn't going to be, that's going to be a struggle now unless women want to date the same type of people, because women are doing so well and they're so successful in their jobs, and big up them for that. But I guarantee it's going to be them asking for prenups. And I actually really wouldn't care. I wouldn't ever want to mince off my girl. If I'm dating someone that that earns more money than me, that's fine to me. I don't feel insecure about it. It's great for her. But I wouldn't want to mince with my partner anyway. I'd actually, if anything, probably want to sign a prenup, just so she doesn't think I'm into the relationship for the wrong reasons. That's how I foresee things. I understand the whole fact that women feel like they need to protect themselves if they have a baby. Obviously, if you don't have a baby, then there's definitely no excuse. But even some of these, amounts, the more money that someone earns, a kid doesn't always, the kid needs the bare minimum. And then that, the father wants to provide more than he can do. But some of these, when it comes to rich people, some of the allowances, It's absolutely diabolical. Moving on. Yes, Dan Prescott was his name, the NFL guy. Dak Prescott canceling the wedding for the marriage because of a prenup. 100%. I'm with you, brother. Although that should have been a conversation that was had many of times. I'm someone that's very different when I date. I'm just me from the offset. I don't roll out the red carpet. I don't act like, some better image of myself than I am. I just say how it is from the start. And if you're feeling me and you like me, I'm just going to get better over time because I'm going to probably soften up a little bit. I'm going to want to liaise with you. I'm going to want to, what's the word? Not liaise, but compromise and be a better boyfriend and stuff like that. I don't give you rose tinted glasses and then switch it up like a lot of guys do and pay for stuff they can't afford in the first 3 months and then just expect you to like them as it is in the future. I don't rate that sort of behavior from men. That's just the way I go about it. Guys, go about it how you want to go about it. But trust me, women are good at, swelling the ball. A lot of women do prepare to be lied to, don't get me wrong. In the initial stages, they prefer, instead of you saying how you truly feel about something, you're probably better off being quiet. But I think it's better to say how it is because then nothing can come out the woodworks later down the line. They feel like they've been played or anything like that. So I think you're just best off being you from the very, very jump. If they don't like that, there's more fish in the sea. It's fine. If they do like it, great, because you're only going to get better. Dry humping on stage, is that cheating? Yes, it is. All these Omalay concerts and taking a cherry from Usher, that is cheating. 100% it is. Especially if you're in a marriage or even a long-term relationship. How are you going to let another man do that? That's another man that basically feels like he can have you whenever you want to, and you're literally going like putty in his hand. And yes, the other way around as well. Guys shouldn't do it either. If I'm in a committed relationship and Beyonce calls me on stage to drown me, I'm not taking it. I'm not taking it because of how it would make my girl feel. But some girls, it's like, yeah, well, it's a celebrity. What kind of excuse is that? I don't care. That's because you care about celebrities. That's mad. I remember when I was on a Celebs Go Dating, and the funniest thing is, I showed one of the girls at work the clip earlier, the ick clip, where I banned her for being single for 29 years. What people don't realize is me and Liv were banning each other the whole way throughout the date. And we got on some topics and it was just banner for banner for banner. And she was giving me more banner than I gave her. And she said that she's crap at taking banner. But I said, well, I'm a coach, so I'm going to have to coach you how to take banner. We're banning each other throughout. And a big topic where we disagreed was she basically said it's cheating if a guy goes to a strip club on a stag do. But she didn't think it was cheating her going to a Magic Mike contest, which if your friend wants to do that, I wouldn't want that to happen, but so be it. But then going on stage and getting a drown, which I just think is flipping nuts. You shouldn't want to be touched by another man if you're truly in love with somebody. And I would expect the same from me as well, so not a double standard thing. And I literally had to tell her, you do realize that's a double standard. How can you even make a right of that? Both shouldn't be done. If you're both going to allow each other to go to the strip club and Magic Mike, okay, cool, but hands, there shouldn't be any touching. There shouldn't be you getting involved. So yeah, I thought that was nuts. And I've had this conversation with somebody else that I went on a date with, and she thought it was completely fine. But then, and she thought that you should be able to wear whatever you want around a relationship. But then said that Instagram followers and likes were a problem, which I just think is absolutely nuts. Everybody has their thing that they don't like in a relationship, but I just thought it's very much like, so a guy can't like something on social media, but you can be in a relationship going a guy and absolutely next to nothing and it's not a problem. You can get drowned by another geezer, but it's not a problem. Crazy to me. So yeah, we bantered each other about that. We had banter about that, and then I came out obviously with the 29 years comment, giving her a bit of banter. In any other date scenario, that would have been fine because she can get close to someone. We could have moved on from that, but obviously it was TV, and she didn't make out like it was a big problem at the time. But then obviously on the VT, she said whatever she said. But it's just so funny seeing the comments because, yeah, most of them are in favor of me, but seeing some people like, oh, he's gaslighting, he's trying to take her shine away, blah, blah, blah. Completely the contrary. I was actually giving her balance to get closer to her. because usually when I go on dates, a girl banters me, I banter her. It's typical English banter, mate. Banter. Um, yes. Text back. How should you play it? Let's admit, a lot of guys, they go on a night out, they want to get the girl's Instagram. Getting the girl's number is way better. However, Instagram's also good because then you can actually see fully what she looks like, especially being on a boozy night out. So if it's a guy that if it's a guy, if it's a girl that you're genuinely feeling, why not go for both? I actually think that's better because if a girl likes you, then why should not want to both? That way you can see 100% what she looks like the next day, and you can see what she's all about as well. And then you've got a WhatsApp as well, so you can tell that she's actually feeling you. Number can be a little bit long because if it's going well, but then you forgot what she looks like, then you have to ask for Insta, which can sometimes be a bit like, why do you need that as well? I do not remember what I look like. And then if you've got her Insta is something that she can just give out to every single Tom, Dick, and Harry. If people give out their Instas even though in a relationship, they might just want an extra follower. So the Instas, you just got to gauge the situation and how it is and go for the method you think's right at the time. And even like also like the amount of work, the connection. If it's like someone that you just find attractive and you've had a bit of a chat, but there's not much there, then maybe just ask for the Insta and see how she feels with that. If it's someone that you've actually vibed with, the number's probably better. But why not there for both? However, I always say, like, if a girl likes you, it doesn't matter how busy she is, she'll always find the time to text you back. Even if it's just a couple of times a day, she'll always find the time to text you back. And I'm sure it's like you as well. The more you're feeling with stuff, the more you're feeling someone, even if you are a super, super busy person, I'm a very, very busy person, you always find some time to give them a couple of texts a day. If she isn't, it's probably because she's got more options or just a better option. And there's nothing wrong with that, although people just don't like to be honest. That's just the truth. It's because you're just not a priority. It's someone somewhere down the line, and she'll respond when she's bored, or just keeping you as a backup option. But if a girl's feeling you, she'll respond straight away. So let me go into the fitness journey. I'll probably go for another half an hour. Okay, cool. I'll give you guys some game about shape and gym and what I've learned over the years. So I think a lot of guys, when they go to the gym, they want to be the biggest, strongest, baddest guy there is. You know, a lot of masculine men, we look up to the Mike Tysons. For me, it was a David Haye, but your Lennox Lewis's, your Muhammad Ali's, big, strong men, your Roy Keanes, your Vieiras, strong men that say it how it is, got a bit of pizzazz about them. And I got into the gym, I looked at people like 50 Cent, so I want to look like that when I'm older. And I went, you know, I've always appreciated the fact that I'm a fairly strong guy in whatever sports that I do. And I've just always wanted to be that guy. My dad was a strong man. I wanted to follow suit. I wanted to be able to protect my mum, my dad, my friends, my girl, if anything ever kicked off. So that was just always a pursuit. So I was into the gym from 16. I was training consistently at 18, but I did go out a lot and drink a lot at uni, as you do. And then seasons as well, I didn't train as much as I should. And then I became super consistent when seasons stopped when I was 24, but I trained all over the world and all sorts. When I played American football briefly at uni, when I was training, I got into the team, but then in terms of actual gameplay, just weren't happening because I was just so far gone with the nights out and enjoying that kind of lifestyle. Come from a small town to a big city and doing my thing. But I put on a lot of weight. I got a lot bigger. So I went from just being that lean kind of football look to actually being a bit of a bigger guy. And then just found it really easy to put on size and got really into watching fitness content and just I'm a sucker for knowledge, whether that's history, fitness, whatever it may be. So I was looking at ways to train better, train smarter. And yeah, I've trained with some Olympic weightlifters before, which was incredible for actually getting stronger and putting on some mass. And then I got to the point where I'm cutting a long story short, but I used to be below 80 kg at uni. And then I got to 82 kg, and then I got to about 86, probably towards the end of uni, towards the end of my seasons. And then I started working with Peloton, and I wanted to get bigger. And I went from 86 kg to 96. And for the last, not anymore, but because I've lost weight, but let's say the last 3 years before this last year, I was walking around at about 96. I even got to 98. The first time I felt really, really heavy, but now I could still be a little bit active. I could still be active at 96. The funny thing is I actually look the same as I do now, just less ripped. Just, you can still see abs, but a fatter layer on top and just bulkier, but still a very similar body composition. And I got to a point where I used to be so lean when I used to do my seasons. I used to love the fact I had abs. I was like, what's the point in going to the gym 5 times a week if I'm not going to look the way that I want to look? Because let's admit, now I go to the gym and I want to train intensely, but I'm not training, lift right 1 rep max. I stopped training like that ages ago. I don't do squats, deadlift, bench press because I train by myself. It takes too long, and the risk, the amount of injury and uncomfort is just not worth it, and the time it takes to set up is not worth it. So now I do things like pendulum squats, hack squats with a machine. I've got tension on both, on both legs of the movement than just when you come up. For example, bench press is just too uncomfortable on my shoulders, so I switched to incline dumbbell bench press. Deadlifts, I do a barbell row instead. Still very effective. Now I've actually got a machine at my gym. Shout out Prime Fitness JBC, which is great, which supports your back whilst doing it. Finding variations that are going to actually be better for you in terms of time and attention, and they're not going to, you're going to reduce the risk of injury. And I stretch before gym, after gym, all things as I get older to actually, one, make it more sustainable, protect our body from being injured, because there's nothing worse than that, because then you're on the sidelines getting fat and you can't do nothing, getting depressed. But what I have learned about the gym is I got to a point where I was 96 and I was like, why am I being this big? So I tried high rocks. I did high rocks training twice a week, still kept pull-on legs. And I went from 96 kg to 86 kg. And from then, since I've been in Dubai, I've just pretty much stuck at 86 kg. I've got a diet which suits me well out here. I enjoy what I want on the weekends. I don't feel bad about eating a pastry because I knew it's very, very weird. I have to come down quite a lot in calories to maintain or to reduce weight because I find it so easy to put on weight. And that's just the way my body is, If I follow the diet, just eating my maintenance, I'll put on size. It's just the way my body is. You've got to find what works for you, but getting bigger, getting more lean, it is very simple. Calories in, calories out, keep your protein high. If you want to gain muscle, it's literally as simple as that. Yes, people can talk about some sort of deficits that they may have. That's a small percentage of people. Most people, that is your formula. Train, you don't need to train any more than 3 times a week. Do you know what? Out here, I'm only doing 3 weight sessions a week, and then I do a cardio day where I might top up a few bits. I try to play paddle actually out here as my cardio day, and I still feel great. I've now got more time to do other things outside of work, or even focus on work outside of work if need be, because things are very, very fast paced, as people will tell you in Dubai. So what I would say about the gym is just find something that works for you. I've been the guy that goes to the gym 5 times a week religiously. You don't have to do it. When you're ill as well, reduce your training sessions. I struggle not to train at least once. However, if you are ill, probably take a week off. That is better for you. I train maybe twice a week, 3 times a week, as opposed to 5 times a week. Because when I used to train ill and 5 times a week, I'd be ill for way longer, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Whereas now, I trained 3 times last week. I trained 3 times this week, and then I did a paddle session. And, mainly what's effing me up out here is aircon, mosquito bites. So I needed aircon. We had a mosquito pandemic a little bit out here, and I was getting these huge mosquito bites, so I needed aircon, but then I still had a cold, blah, 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 blah. But it is going naturally. But when it comes to the gym, you just got to find what works for you in terms of a split. I don't think you can go around with push-pull legs or upper body, lower body, or full body, just making sure you're getting multiple muscle groups in at the same time. The gym bro split is good, but then you're having to train 5 times a week. So you've got to be prepared to be able to do that. I'm still strong and I've been training 3 times a week in terms of weights workouts consistently. So that's not something you have to do. But yeah, try and get your 8 hours sleep in. I get 6-ish out here, 6 to 8, no less than 6. Keep your water high as well. I try to drink at least 3 liters a day. The more, the better. And don't overhydrate yourself and go 5+ unless you're an MMA fighter or something like that, or an athlete. And then diet. Find a diet that works for you. You can do little things to spice up your diet as well. If you've got a sweet craving, have that cracker that you need before bed with honey and chocolate on it, or dark chocolate. Just find something you can stick to consistently and then enjoy yourself with a cheap one on the weekend. That's the easiest way to do it. Don't cook loads of oil and butter as well. Just use your little, spake. That's what I use. That's just putting on so many calories unnecessarily, especially when this is something that you're going to stick to week by, like day by day. You don't need all of that. Treat yourself to that on the weekend. That's what I would say. And the high rocks, it did help me lose a bit of weight. I don't think it got me into like mad shape. I would say that there's obviously a lot of running involved and whatnot. But it did help me lose weight because I was, being more active. It wasn't just weights. I was still keeping the weights high. Obviously, you're still burning weights from the exercise that you're doing. But it's also shocking my body as well because I didn't do enough cardio. So that was good. And I was getting my 30 minutes of steps in a day outside of the steps that I usually do as well on my walking treadmill. So that was really, really good for losing weight. How about, as I said, find something that sucks for you. Get your water in, get your sleep in, and just get it done. Don't create excuses. Speak to a coach, a fitness coach, a PT, whatever you need to give you that extra drive. I'll be coming out with something soon for people in the UK, in Dubai, wherever you are, because it is all realistically about fixing your mindset. The technique can come. Even me, as someone that's a seasoned gym goer, I'm still finding ways to perfect my technique and certain movements and focus on the muscle that's being worked. That can come, but the main thing is getting yourself there every day. Not every day of the week, but every day that you say you're going to commit to. That was that. I think that fitness is extremely important, especially for men in this generation. A lot of men feel like they don't know what it is to be a man anymore. They think, money is the be all and end all. Then you've got bloody Clav talking about looks mixing. Now they all think they're not good looking enough. I've just got this pressure from men. We've got it from women as well, because there are some women that say, I'm not going to date you unless you're earning this much. Oh, why are men not men anymore? Not saying that they don't have a point, but it also does add to the pressure that's on men in this generation. And fitness is so good for so many reasons. Enrolling to a sports team is so good. I always say for young men, leadership, team skills, humbling yourself, knowing that you're not potentially the best player on the team. And even if you are the best player on the team, then going to county, going to professional level, you might not be it's likely that you're not going to be the best player on the team. Humbling yourself. Team camaraderie as well, bonding. There's so many things that sports gives you or fitness gives you. In terms of just fitness, for me, if I had, when I've had big arguments with my ex-missus, I go to the gym and everything was sweet. It's like a reset, increased energy, better sleep because you've worn yourself out as well. A feeling of conquering something outside of, your job and whatnot. A sense of accomplishment after you've done a grueling, hard workout. You look better, so you're more confident, you feel better. And that just transpires as well. It's going to get you more results in dating. It's going to make your missus feel even more attracted to you. And also the mindset it gives you as well. That just non-stop winning mindset, which just oozes charisma, oozes manliness, and just oozes, it's attractive when someone's got set goals that they want to stick to. The same with women as well. I find it so attractive. It's actually a turn off for me, someone that doesn't train. So when it's like into a healthy lifestyle,
It's a massive turn on for me, someone that's in shape. I keep myself in shape, so that's what I expect from my partner as well, especially if we're going to have kids and stuff like that. You know, we're not expecting someone to stay in shape when you have kids or straight after. But I just, you know, it's something I find that attractive when someone's got that mindset to want to get back into shape. But, you know, taking care of your appearance, why the hell not? Very different to looks maxing, taking care of your appearance. But that's that. Having discipline as well. Having discipline makes you way more confident. Something that you can stick to, a routine. Again, it just oozes charisma, and it just shows that you know what you're doing. It shows that you strive for your goals. And even that's why I say, you know, you can get away with the whole not having a huge amount of money when you're dating an attractive girl, because if they can tell that you're going somewhere, and girls always say that I just want to see that he's ambitious. Nope. Some girls generally mean they need you to be breaded up. That's what they mean by ambition. But to some girls, it's generally just someone that's got goals and is going to get to where they said they're going to get to, or they're at least going to try. And you know, they've got faith in the fact that you're going to be able to pivot and find another way to get to that place where you want to be. Hybrid training versus bodybuilding. I see a lot of people that are into bodybuilding digging out hybrid or high rocks, which is just dumb. You know, there's people that do high rocks that are in incredible shape. Look at CrossFitters, they're in incredible shape, arguably in better shape than a lot of bodybuilders. So it depends what kind of look that you're going for. I appreciate both. I appreciate aesthetics on both sides. I appreciate guys that are maybe smaller than me, but are, you know, super lean. I appreciate guys that are bigger than me. Appreciate guys that are on. I know the fact, you know, I can generally tell 99% of the time if someone's on steroids or not. But whether you're steroided up or not, I mean, the worst people are the people that fake and lie about it for views and to sell courses, like the Liver King, when we clearly were always on sets the whole time. However, yeah, all physiques, I appreciate the hard work that it takes to be in that type of shape as well. I appreciate someone that's natty as well, because it's something that I can relate to more, and also the temptation to resist it and be in good shape. But however someone wants to train is how someone wants to train, and hybrid, if anything, is just a lot healthier because you need to be training your heart as well. That's why I try to do a cardio day nowadays. Bodybuilding is amazing for looking great, and I find it way more fun. I prefer weight training more than cross-functional fitness, but it is important to get your steps in. It is important to do your cardio for your health, because that's what we really want. We all want to live a long, healthy lifestyle, and that's the reason why I've changed. I've come down in weight as well, and I'm way more nimble. If I need to go play a football match, I can do now. Although I might not be 90-minute fit, I can get through the game because I'm just not carrying extra heavy weight around that I don't need. But I'm still strong. It hasn't affected my attributes in the gym, which is great. How looking better improves opportunities, or you get more opportunities when you look better. Now, this is something that I do agree with South on. I do think there's more ways to make it now, which is great for a lot of people than just your looks. Like, think about all these streamers and stuff like that. I'm not the best looking people, but then how the algorithms work. They might have, you know, be extremely charismatic. They find their niche and what they're good at, and they stick to it. It's not just good looking people getting the role, people that are on TV getting these roles or getting the clout. Streamers are bigger than actors and actresses nowadays. But yeah, even in business, you know, a girl that's unbelievable in real estate, let's say I've got the exact same acumen, or even let's say slightly worse than someone that's average looking on a geezer, the girl is going to get way more hits. I think someone actually told me in a real estate firm that they actually tested it out. A guy that had lots of experience, and an average looking guy, him and a good looking girl, and the good looking girl got so many more inquiries. So it just shows, I mean, that is just life. And you shouldn't need to do all these fake shoulders and stuff like that. Just focus on the basics. As I said, woman or man, just get yourself in shape. Try to take some of the ointments away from your face. Cream for guys, for me, haircut every 2 weeks. Do it nice and a lot more simple. Maybe for girls it's more complicated. But yeah, don't do things that are going to potentially shorten your lifespan. I know that as well because I have a friend that unfortunately died under the knife from a dodgy surgeon. And yeah, I've always been told that it's not for fake surgery. Do I think it can look sexy? Yeah. We saw it, but I'm a guy that's actually going to tell you how it is. I'm not going to just be a virtue signaler. But it's just nothing. It's not really worth doing anything that's going to shorten your life expectancy. And people might say, oh, well, you party, you drink, and whatever. I get that, but let's admit, does it really mean you're going to die straight away? Not really. Under the knife, you don't really know the person who's doing it a lot of the time. Well, yeah. Yeah, long. Let's break to go. Yes. This is another reason why and I've said this in my videos before, mindset coaching, I think, trumps just pure PTing. I think both are great as well, by the way. But I feel like most people actually know what they're doing in the gym to some extent, or they can learn from YouTube clips, or they can learn from a PT, but they don't need months and months of PTing. But it's the fact that they lack structure more than anything. They lack a program, they lack something they can stick to, they lack the mindset of when it's cold in the UK and getting up for that 5 o'clock run, or I want more time in bed, because they don't know what they're focused on. They don't have a goal in mind that they need to get to. When you have that goal in mind, it's a strong goal and it's something that you really want, it's something you're striving for. You're not going to let anything within reason stop you from waking up to achieve it, and then it will just become part of your routine. But without that, it's something that usually just turns into a short-term fix. So guys, get a coach. Make sure you get a coach to help you with your goals, whether it's fitness goals, whether it's date, whatever it might be. A lot of men find it very difficult to speak to someone, a friend, because you feel emasculated. Your family are in a different generation. You might even have bad family dynamics. And then if we're talking about a partner, and you don't want your words to get used against you, and then they do, we all know women can be emotional, and then it's going to stop you opening up again. So you need to speak to a coach, take a discovery call with different people, see what works for you. But it'll be the best thing that you do. I know when I've coached people, I've got 100% results, positive results for people. And people might go, how was that 100%? Well, it's because people don't realize the power of coaching. I'm not giving you advice. I'm literally asking you questions that you don't think about or self-reflect on yourself to help you get to where you need to be. It's that simple. There's an art to it. It takes a lot of time and energy, but it creates a eureka pin drop moments that you might not get to yourself. A couple last current events that I want to touch on, and then I am done. Well, I streamed for a long time with a sore throat as well. So that is crazy. Free spiritual country, which this is another thing. So I listened to Tucker Carlson and a woman talking about, Tucker Carlson was very much talking about how the situation in Gaza is, so wrong. And this woman kept talking about the Holocaust, which I thought was crazy because she just didn't want to address the situation that had gone on, because she probably clearly felt with Israel in that situation, and that's her prerogative. But I think it's extremely disingenuous to not actually attack or address the points that are being raised in the debate, and just bring up something that you clearly hold dear more. It's like when, people might not care about, let's just use George Floyd, for example, but then they care so much about the fact that a dog was abused. I just think, like, surely we're going to condemn all of this behavior. We're just going to focus on the things that you care about, and you're not going to talk about other things. It's nuts to me. I'm not trying to say we obviously all spend our time and attention focused on the things that mean most to us. That is just completely natural. But when asked to talk about something and pivot, or to try and even put somebody in a catch-22 situation and say, oh, do you not care about the Holocaust when the conversation is not about the Holocaust? It's just ridiculous to me. And the double standards as well in race, like at that award ceremony, it was in the BAFTAs where the guy with Tourette's said the N word and that didn't get bleeped out. Although there was a slight pause in terms of, I don't know the definition for it, but they're like 3 seconds ahead or something like that, so they could have paused it. But anything about free Palestine and stuff like that was cut out immediately. And that's where it just goes to with the race. As Black people, it's just a piss take. We're just not prioritized in that regard. That is just the most obvious example. And the fact that they probably allowed that because it's actually going to get them more eyeballs and more attention, because I wouldn't have cared about the BAFTAs until that situation arose. But time and time again, it's like, I feel like as Black people, we don't make enough of a hoo-ha about it. You know, we're on to the next issue, we're on to the next drama, as opposed to just, you know, blatant racism. Whereas in other communities, it just gets taken way more seriously. That is where my, that I do have a problem with that. Not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of anything that's anti-Semitic or racist towards other people, but things like that. I've learned a lot about Trump's reign as well, actually, about, you know, trying to say that there's a white genocide in South Africa, where there's clearly not. It was just a way of getting more white people into America, what he deems as white, saying that they don't need, you know, they can basically skip the visa process. When there was only 24 white South Africans that had died by anything kind of like mobile farm related that year, when he made a point of it, which is just so crazy. But people just don't do any research and just believe what they hear straight away. But then he's put like really, really tough restrictions on African countries and Asian countries as well. And you know, he's so blatant in what he says, you know, Somalia, and saying, you know, about, you know, the way he spoke about the turban, or the way he's talking about his Somalis and saying that they stink. It's crazy to me. That is just flat out racism. And then said, yeah, why can't we have them from Sweden and Denmark? How is that not alarming to people? It's nuts. It's nuts. He's not having a good reign at all. And this comes from someone that would have voted Trump. I still back that over Kamala, just because Kamala was bullshit. She didn't say anything to address the economy, immigration, which was a problem. The woke stuff was going way too far, which I think even a lot of women came across to, because more women than ever voted for Trump as well, which is something they tried to cut out, although I think they have started to realize that it was going way too far. This exchanges and kids and stuff like that. Had a sex change, but not as a child. The fact that they were trying to change the, you know, what a woman is and stuff like that, when a woman's what, that was also a massive factor. But then also she said she would do nothing to change Biden's reign, and she didn't go on big talk shows like Joe Rogan, so she just shot herself in the foot. But the way that he's going about his presidency this time ain't great at all. It ain't great at all. He's been very controlling, but that goes into another day. That's someone that's in the UAE as well. We want that war to stop. We want business to go back to as usual. Please, let's cut that out. Do me a favor, please, Top. Thank you. Parents teaching their kids how. Parents teaching their. Oh yeah, some of the things that parents are doing online is crazy. I'm seeing them do stories and stuff like that with their kids, which include swear words. I'm seeing kids swear online. And I just feel like we're in this society where no one ever calls out the parents. We hear about all this bad parenting in years to come, or we know effed up situations. Because what that is bad parenting, and parenting becoming so soft. Just like some parents want to be their kid's best friend as opposed to a parent. It's so bizarre to me, like, and then using kids as well for clicks and views, or to make them look a little influencer. Don't get me wrong, like the cute baby videos and stuff like that, like that's cute, but actually getting them to do skits and stuff for swear words is just so backwards. The funniest thing is you'll see people in the comments bigging it up and say how much they love it. It's crazy to me. Absolutely crazy to me. Read the reparations debate, we'll skip that. Sentencing disparities, we'll skip that. Men switch to enter air. Yeah, I do definitely want to bring that one to the forefront. So there was the really, really sad situation where Claudia Graham was run over by a girl that had previously been an X Factor. Massive situation, a lot of fake news about it being ever a girl and stuff like that. A lot of us seen the clip as well. It's horrible when someone actually gets run over. That's disgusting. And seeing the guy that also suffered severe injuries in life, he died as well. But how is, rest in peace to her, but how is two women fighting? How did that become, again, a thing against men about the fact that men didn't get involved in those filming? Now, do I agree with men filming? No. But men are in a catch-22 if they get involved. If a man got involved and they were too physical, women could press charges, that could be an issue. We've all seen scenarios of men rescuing a woman, or I know situations where my friends have been in situations where they've protected a woman against her boyfriend and the woman's telling the man. So you get a load of that going on as well. And, in the way that men are as well. So you have to be careful nowadays. So a lot of men don't want to get themselves in these type of situations. So I agree with recording, no, that's silly. But that's the reason why men don't get involved, but then you're moaning that men got involved because this one situation happened to be fatal. How many situations are fatal? This was a one-off case. But it's like you're doomed. You get cussed as a man if you don't do enough. And then if you do too much, then you get cussed. That's why, guys, it's just important to have a good set of morals and have faith in what you believe is right. Have faith in what you believe is right, as long as it's morally right as well. But the fact that became a slate on man thing, and I'm saying men join in as well, I just think we should be part of the problem. This whole hate men, dig out men situation is just ridiculous. But that's the reason why men don't. And also another story I want to start with Sean, which is actually a bit funny, is it's so funny how we view a man getting sexually harassed than we do a woman, especially if she's attractive. So there was a situation with a JP Morgan, a woman, attractive woman with assets, let's say. Assets. Joking. But big old, tig old biddies. But I don't want to comment too much on the story because supposedly it may just be faked. But someone that works with JP Morgan, a lot more attractive than this guy, personally, she was, taking on, giving a load of crap and saying that you need to F me and all sorts, and all guys are like, we'd love to be in that situation. This is like a fantasy for us. And it's a massive joke, whereas the other way around, it's, an art charge realistically, it's disgusting behavior. But, there is obviously a massive difference between an extremely attractive woman that might be out of your league and, a nasty old slap ugly male, which I think is what we envisage when we think of the man taking advantage of the woman in that type of scenario. But realistically, look, both are wrong. However, I think a lot of guys would probably bite their arm off to be in that situation, funny enough. But both are wrong, and it is something that should be looked at seriously. Someone abusing their power. It should be something that, if we want an equal world, it should be something that's treated the exact same. But it's not. So yes, that brings me to the end. I could go on about a couple more topics, but I think I've gone on for nearly 100 minutes. Apologies if it hasn't flowed the way that you want it to flow, but it's just been me, myself, and I to bounce off. I had no laptop, just me and my own entertainment. Guys, I appreciate you for tuning in. The clips, I think, will be very, very good. Sorry that you're here. Me having to clear my throat quite a lot. I am still recovering, second week in from a cold. However, we're getting there. We're fighting through it. But yeah, let me know what you think. Any topics you guys want me to address, I will do. Any actual topics that mean something as well, whether it's commenting on something that's serious that's going on, I am very diverse in what I can talk about. It can be current events and pop culture. It can also be fitness. It can be relationships. It can be something psychological. It can be something historical. It can be something political. I can go there. So, appreciate you. Peace out.